Hello all you Shetland voters, I'm Stuart Hill. You may know me for my long-time stand for Shetland independence, that crackpot Englishman trying to tell Shetland what to do. Well, English, yes, crackpot, maybe, but telling Shetlanders what to do, definitely not. All I can do is point out that there could be a different way, that there are choices we're not being offered. I hope I'll be able to convince you that voting for any candidate in the upcoming by-election is not in the best interests of Shetland. You might think that voting for one candidate or another will give the best result and that democracy will prevail, but what I intend to show is that returning any candidate will cost Shetland dear. What I'm suggesting is that the best vote on the 29th of August is no vote at all. By all means, turn up at the polling station and get a ballot paper, but I suggest you just write across it, "No thanks." All spoilt ballot papers must be counted and your vote will be recorded, so this is not a wasted exercise. What I'm doing is letting people know that all is not well in Shetland, that Shetlanders are being hoodwinked and that the Scottish and UK governments are not on our side. Right now, the seat for the Shetland constituency in the Scottish Parliament is empty, and I'm asking you to think hard before you vote to fill it. With an empty seat, the power remains here in Shetland. We'll get an extra £81 million every year in the Shetland economy. These are official figures which show that after paying all our direct and indirect taxes and getting back all the grants and subsidies we need to run the place, there's £81 million every year left in the UK Treasury. We'll have control of our fisheries. We can decide what level of subsidy we want to give to our farmers and crofters. We'll have the money to buy whatever fixed links, travel subsidies, scanners and so on that we think we need. Essentially, we'll be in control of our own affairs. If we vote in an MSP, we can expect him or her to be one of 129 MSPs, all competing to get the best for their constituency, win some, lose some. We'll always have to ask for permission to do the things we want to do in Shetland. If we want doesn't fit with official policy, we won't get it. It will cost Shetland £81 million per year, the money we give to the UK Treasury with no strings attached, for them to spend on illegal wars, HS2, MPs' duck houses and whatever else they wish. Over the course of Tavish's tenure, our subsidy to the UK amounted to £1.62 billion. That's 1.62 billion, not million. With that money we could already have had all the fixed links, travel subsidies, agricultural subsidies, rural schools and scanners that we could possibly wish for. Tavish was undoubtedly a competent MSP, but ask yourself this: were his accomplishments worth 1.62 billion over those 20 years? Arguably, nobody could have done better, but were his achievements worth £1.62 billion? As long as we are ruled by governments that do not have our best interests at heart, we'll continue to be bled dry and only get back the bare minimum to survive. I've spent the best part of the last 8 years in the courts trying to get the Scottish and UK governments to show how they derive their authority here. You may not think that very important. After all, we're generally quite comfortably off in Shetland, but it wouldn't take much to change that, and the Scottish government in particular is intent on doing just that. As far as they're concerned, we must be brought in line with Scotland, and our oil fund should be a national resource. Shetland remains the jewel in the crown, and both governments desperately want us to keep us as part of their territory. They have two ways of doing this. One, convince us that we are part of Scotland, and two, convince us that we need to vote for MPs and MSPs to sit in their parliaments. By doing this, we are actually asking to be ruled by either Westminster or Holyrood. If we don't send anyone, the power stays here in Shetland. My book, Stolen Isles, which you can get at the Shetland Times bookshop or at stolenisles.com, gives the historical and legal reasons why Shetland never legitimately was or could have been part of Scotland, and the lengths to which the authorities will go to avoid admitting it. I've been subject to all kinds of abuse in the courts, but what capped it all was being convicted for contempt of court and given a prison sentence without even a hearing. Treatment that you'd not expect even in a third world country. When they resort to such extreme tactics, I know I'm winning. If you can't win the argument, attack the man, seems to be their strategy. The latest case concerns a report of my expenses after the 2017 general election. It should have been an open and shut case. After all, no report was submitted, but it's been going on for over 2 years, during which time there have been 17 hearings. The reason is they've not been able to establish jurisdiction of the court because the UK Crown doesn't have sovereignty here or in Orkney. If Orkney and Shetland are not part of Scotland, UK legislation doesn't apply here and there was no crime. They've just had to keep kicking the can down the road and fix new dates in the hope they'll eventually give up. Some people think I'm wasting the court's time, but the boot's on the other foot. If the court, the final demonstrator of the power of the state, cannot show how it derives its authority, the people of Shetland and Orkney are being conned. More importantly, if the UK Crown doesn't have authority, who does? Because of a quirk of history, sovereignty lies with the people of Shetland. We have the power to decide our own destiny, if we don't give it away. Whether you like it or not, nobody has refuted the arguments I set out in Stolen Isles, and there is no basis for Scottish or UK authority here. The book is now in its 4th edition and has gone all over the world. The Scottish and UK governments have been operating a fraud on the people of Shetland and Orkney for the past 550 years, and they don't want their lucrative scam to come to an end. They will fight tooth and nail and use every dirty trick in the book, but we can bring it to an end just by turning our backs and saying no thanks on their ballot paper. Now, I know it's not going to be as easy as that, but just think about this. That £81 million equates to £8,100 per household. It's out of our pockets. Would you willingly give £8,100 every year to the government and expect nothing in return? No MSP or MP can do anything about it because they pledge allegiance to the very authority that runs the scam. So please don't vote for any of them. Just write no thanks on your ballot paper. Please do all the usual things: like, subscribe and share the video. There will be more coming, so please leave your comments and I'll answer questions in later videos. Thank you.